Good morning to the online people. We just waiting for everybody to arrive, so we will commence with the session as soon as possible. Bear with us. Thank you. Bye. All righty. Good morning, everybody. Nice and cozy this morning, and I think we'll organize that fireplace to get started up a little bit later then. to warm us up a little bit. Obviously, still some people arriving, but we will give them this opportunity to join us as we go along. Yes, so proudly today, we're being hosted by CtrlFleet. And for the sake of the recordings and so on, that's today, the 11th of July, 2024. And we're talking about digital dynamics, reshaping the landscape of freight and logistics. Thank you very much, Renko and CtrlFleet, for hosting us today and all your mentorship for us and also putting together this program. We really appreciate that. We have many people online, both on YouTube and Zoom, and we also welcome them in the session. So later on during the panel discussion, we will put the Zoom screen up in the front so that we all can see everybody and have a nice, cozy environment. So, ladies and gents, I would like to quickly give some recognition. As you know, the Transport Forum has been there for more than 17 years, and all our events are complimentary to everybody. Jan, sorry, or Renke, can I just ask you that switch in the back corner there? You can just turn the audio down there for the venue. The music, yeah, if you can just turn it down. There we go. Thank you very much. All right, so we would like to give some recognition to the Transport Forum sponsors and alliance partners. And then I will later on then hand over to our host, Renko, take us through the session. So Renko will also obviously take us through the program, but just for argument's sake, there's the program, the first half of our program, very exciting program. You can see we've got a lot of learned panelists who's going to talk to us, and then we'll have a very nice panel discussion after each one of them has given their presentations. So there's a second half, we'll take a comfort break. Then will be a very nice questions and answer session. The online people and the live audience here will be able to participate. And you can see also that there will be an online poll and also at the end, lucky draws. As you can see here at the front, many, many lucky draws that you might be one of the lucky winners. Unfortunately, the lucky draws are only for the live audience, but we will also cater for the online people by the quiz. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce you to our alliance partners and our sponsors. And after I've done that just now, we're going to use menti.com. Don't know if you guys are aware of menti.com. So you'll take your mobile phone, those who want to participate, and you will type in your browser menti.com. And then that menti.com will give online people and a live audience opportunity to compete in a quiz. And I'm going to ask some questions about our sponsors and alliance partners, two of them, and the winner might be the lucky winner then of a branded Transport Forum power bank. They're in there somewhere. But anyway, so it's a branded Transport Forum power bank. You might be the lucky winner of that if you win the quiz. So should it be in the audience, we'll hand it over. Should it be an online person, then we'll have the prize couriered to you. So lots of fun. So what I'm actually saying is from now on, you should listen carefully because I'm going to ask some questions. I see we've got a challenge here with the cables here, but we will fix that a little later on. Those of you who want to, you can already use your phone or your PC and type in menti.com. And then later on, I'll give you the code that you can type in to participate. All right, so those are the Transport Forum's alliance partners at the top and the sponsors more at the bottom. And we're going to quickly introduce you to these great organizations. So the industry associations who are on a formal agreement with the Transport Forum, there they are. Quickly going to introduce you to each one of them. We've got the South African Association of Freight Forwarders, and they've given us a nice video we can have a look at.
What does it take to compete on the world stage? To go head to head with the best of the best? Excellence, agility, resilience, the willingness to keep on evolving. It takes courageous leadership to be bold and chart the course, to connect the dots, bringing stakeholders together, to overcome the hurdles we all face, and to deliver the best stories. It's about business at the click of a button, delivering at the speed of the internet, connecting people, products, and places, strengthening our supply chains, faster and more cost-effective than ever. Since 1921, we've given voice and vision to the freight forwarding industry, navigating the tides of international trade, evolving ever more sophisticated supply chains, bridging local and global markets to move our economy forward. Welcome to our world. The South African Association of Freight Forwarders, architects of transport for over a century.
Thank you very much, Saf. Also, the Multi-Modal Inland Port Association recently joined the Transport Forum, doing great work in revitalizing our rail infrastructure, also through multi-inland ports, all the side branches and so on. Warwick Lord and team are doing great work, so we thank them for joining the Transport Forum. We've got SAPA, South African Express Parcel Association. It's a representative body, voice of the express delivery industry in South Africa. We've got a South African Bus Operators Association representing the bus and the coach industry in South Africa. Thank you, Saboa. We've got a Road Freight Association. They say without trucks, South Africa stops. Thank you very much, RFA. We've got ARIA, African Rail Industry Association, doing great work in third-party access into our rail network. Safer Stops Association, Nikki Scott and team doing great work. You can see uniting minds, sharing vision and resources, uplifting well-being, boosting road safety for South Africa's commercial drivers. Thank you, Safer Stops. We've got also Media Alliance partners of the Transport Forum, proudly having here Freight News. There's Eugene Goddard from Freight News as well, being actually part of the Transport Forum since inception. Freight News, there they are. News and features for import and export decision makers. Obviously, on the Transport Forum website, you find all the links to these organizations. Thank you, Freight News. Railways Africa magazine, specialist trade, technical, business-to-business online publication covering all aspects of the rail sector. We've got focus on transport and logistics. South Africa's oldest and leading transport magazine, they say. All right, we've got engineering news, Crema Media. They've also given us highlights for last week's news.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Engineering News and Mining Weekly magazine, published on Friday, 5 July 2024. In this week's cover article, Engineering News and Mining Weekly Senior Deputy Editor Skalkberger writes that a consistent pipeline is all that's needed to resuscitate South Africa's construction sector. A consistent and predictable pipeline of construction and infrastructure development projects, which must be underpinned by political support and leadership, is all that's necessary to accelerate construction and development in South Africa. The Engineering News features focus on steel, where bottlenecks affect a company's operations. Water storage and infrastructure, where digitalization offers a possible solution to water challenges. Business in KZN, where a renewables project is set to power a miner's KwaZulu-Natal operations. And testing, inspection and certification services, where an NDT testing expert launches vendor inspection services. The Mining Weekly features focus on pumps, where a range of slurry pumps address hard rock mining wear issues. This week's business leader is Chipo Mushwana, the Emerging Innovation and Payments Executive at Nedbank. And as this week's cartoon shows, to succeed, the Government of National Unity will be a case of ongoing negotiation and daily give and take, and the reforms underway through Operation Vulindlela will be just the tonic needed to build some early momentum. We hope you enjoy this week's edition of Creamer Media's Engineering News and Mining Weekly. Be sure to subscribe to the magazine that offers you in-depth news about developments in the real economy by emailing subscriptions@engineeringnews.co.za. Happy reading and see you next time.
Thank you, Engineering News. Ladies and gents, looking at our sponsors, the Transport Forum sponsors, today is our host, CtrlFleet. Very proud in having them on board. Renke Burke will just now tell you more about CtrlFleet and just now also play a video about CtrlFleet. But let's have a look now at our other sponsors. We'll come back to our host just now. CTRAC is a platinum sponsor with the Transport Forum with their product Crystal. And you can see the video.
Safe as always visible. We've learned a thing or two along the way. That's why our focus is firmly on the future. A future that goes beyond just tracking and reporting, challenging the status quo and exploring what the power of technology combined with AI can unlock for your business. Because talking did not earn us the reputation of being the leader in fleet telematics solutions. Pushing boundaries with constant innovation did, and putting our customers first by asking what if, what's next, and what's possible. For the power of foresight over hindsight to plan ahead and make smarter decisions. What if you could predict the optimal route to increase on-time deliveries and significantly reduce long-term maintenance? What if you could predict the best tractor speed on the day to reduce wasted spray and cover more ground? Precision. Something as trivial as a few centimeters could predict the difference between maximum efficiency and maximum risk, because in our world, and likely in yours too, having insights that can be used as foresight and a crystal clear view of the future is the only thing that matters to remain ahead for better control, better efficiencies, and better overall performance. It's the telematics and AI solution that goes beyond tracking and reporting. Step into the future with Crystal by CTRAC and experience the power to predict.
Thank you, CTRAC. Great product, Crystal. Bertie Cargo, also been part of the Transport Forum for many years as a gold sponsor.
In the world of express freight, there's one name that stands above the rest: Bid-Air Cargo. Our airport-to-airport line haul service is the backbone of South Africa's express freight industry. At Bid-Air Cargo, we don't just deliver cargo. We go the extra mile to ensure a seamless and efficient experience in South Africa. With our unwavering commitment to excellence and improved technology, we handle your cargo with utmost care and deliver it on time, every time. Our dedication to service excellence is what sets us apart. We live by our core values of service excellence, mutual respect, integrity, and accountability. When you choose Bid-Air Cargo, you're choosing a partner that takes pride in going above and beyond for your freight needs. From pharmaceuticals to perishable goods, automotive parts to live animal transportation, we handle a diverse range of commodities. Our attention to detail and precision ensure that your cargo arrives in perfect condition, no matter what it is. Our dedicated teams work tirelessly to guarantee the safety and efficient transport of your cargo. We leave no stone unturned to ensure your freight arrives at its destination intact and on time. With our advanced track and trace system, you can monitor your shipments in real time. Stay informed about the whereabouts of your cargo with just a few clicks. Our goal is to provide you with peace of mind and complete transparency throughout the entire journey. We understand that time is of the essence for our valued customers. That's why we offer a user-friendly online portal that simplifies the documentation process. Obtain quotations and create e-labels with ease, saving you valuable time and effort. Whether you have a small package or a large shipment, Bid-Air Cargo handles it all with equal care and precision. Our ISO certification is a testament to our commitment to quality and professionalism. We don't just excel in domestic express freight. We also cater to your international cargo needs. No matter the size of your business, whether you're a small enterprise or a multinational corporation, you can trust us to handle your cargo with the same level of dedication and attention to detail. Connect with us today and discover the difference our innovative technology, seamless tracking, and customer-oriented approach will make to your operation. Bid Air Cargo. Same-day express every day, overnight express every night.
All right, thank you, Bid Air Cargo. Unitrans, also a gold sponsor of the Transport Forum.
Our continent continues to grow, and our industrial division is focused on connecting Africa to global markets. As our region evolves, so does our footprint across key trade passages and corridors, enabling new opportunities and growth. Unitrans is committed to fueling this growth by providing integrated warehousing and freight transport solutions. This capability has evolved across a number of customers, sectors, and countries, and continues to expand, seamlessly linking road freight, multimodal solutions, warehousing, secondary logistics, as well as freight forwarding and clearing activities. We are able to offer customers a full end-to-end solution that manages logistics needs in an efficient and cost-effective manner. With a strong focus on technology and partnerships, we continue to strengthen our approach as a managed logistics service that gets the job done.
Thank you, Unitrans. We have, sorry, what happened there? Yes, we've got the University of Johannesburg, been part of the Transport Forum actually since inception. They've got the Department of Transport and Supply Chain Management, as well as the Institute for Transport and Logistics Studies. Thank you very much, UJ, for your support through these years. We've got Data Noble, they lead us in research intelligence. They recently joined us as a gold sponsor. They tap into your client base, doing very intensive research and come up with beautiful reports and guidance in terms of how to improve your services with your customer. So thank you very much. Where's Ivan? There's Ivan. Ivan from Data Noble. You're welcome to talk to him as well. He's in the audience today. We've got Go Metro. You can see it consolidates actionable data from your entire fleet into a single platform, enabling you to streamline operations, enhance route planning, extend tire life, and optimize cargo conditions, all while saving costs. Thank you very much, Go Metro. Kuba, transforming ticketing, part of the ICA Mobility Group. You can see they do journey planning, smart ticketing, streamlining electronic payment, shaping the digital transformation of the mobility sector. Standard Bank, been part of us also for many years as a gold sponsor. Let's see if I can get this online video going.
The purpose is Africa is our home, we drive the growth. And driving Africa's growth goes to the nature of an institution that we are, which is an organization that is at the center of the economy, giving people the ability to pay, to borrow, to invest, and by ensuring their assets. We do all of this to fulfill that purpose of a financial institution, which is to help people to become active economic agents and contribute to economic growth.
We have found increasingly that we need to impact the communities that we operate in a very positive manner. We need to conduct our business in line with international best practices. We signed up to the Equator Principles, which helps to protect our environment. We want to make sure that we're investing in infrastructure. We want to make sure that we're deepening financial services so that more and more people have access to financial services.
You can never provide a full service offering to the client if you don't do so on the basis of an integrated standard bank offering, i.e. a universal bank. When we look at types of projects and companies and individuals that we find, we have to be sensitive to the impact that they make on those communities. Do they contribute meaningfully? Are they ethical in their own behavior? Are they sensitive to issues of environment? Are they sensitive to the way they undertake and develop their own projects and initiatives? And Standard Bank believes very, very strongly in ensuring that ultimately the growth that we desire is a growth that benefits everyone.
We finance the building of airports, bridges, ports, which contribute to economic growth and contribute to the hard infrastructure that society needs for development.
How do we show up in such a way that is real and human in our customers? And it goes both ways. How do we see customers as individuals, but how do we also show up not as a monolithic bank, but as a human bank, as a local bank? And you might say that it's is a bit of a paradox because we're a universal bank. It's true. But we are a universal bank that feels local, that feels real.
Countries in Africa embrace democracy, embrace good macroeconomic policies, they will attract foreign capital, into their economies. And we as a group are well positioned to access those capital flows and also help drive investments in the right sectors.
Thank you, Standard Bank. Global Trade Solution, ladies and gents, imports and exports. Sorry, I must get my finger off this thing. You can see consulting and strategy, software solutions, specialized services, Global Trade Solution. Thank you very much, GTS. We've got Zutari, consulting engineers of note, also gold sponsor for many years of the Transport Forum. We've got JC Auditors. They've also got a short video for us.
Welcome to JC Auditors, your trusted partner in road freight certification solutions. At JCA, we offer a single integrated solution for road freight companies, enabling you to achieve all your compliance and certification requirements. Our focus on the South African national standard, RTMS, ensures your fleet meets the high standards in safety, efficiency, and sustainability. Promoting vehicle safety and fostering safe driving behavior are keys to RTMS success. With a national presence of a growing footprint in the SADC regions, JCA is your local and regional expert in road transport compliance. Our certificates are SANAS accredited and IAF aligned, so rest assured that JC Audited certifications are recognized globally. Our team of professional road transport experts brings unparalleled experience and dedication to every client, ensuring your company is always compliant. Having conducted over 10,000 audits in the last 15 years, JCA's expertise is proven, tried, and trusted across the industry. We proudly serve South Africa's leading road freight companies, along with a host of other forward-thinking and ambitious transporters, driving road transport excellence. Join the many satisfied clients who trust JC Auditors for their road freight certification needs, including RTMS, ISO 9001, and more. Visit us at www.jcauditors.com and drive your business forward with confidence.
Thank you, JC Auditors. Ladies and gents, EasyClear, also gold sponsor, software solutions for customs clearing, freight forwarding, and logistics providers covering air, sea, road, and rail. Is Michael here? There he is. Thank you, Michael, for your support. Really appreciate it. Ladies and gents, we've got the Ticket Pro Group. They've got two brands. Ticket Pro Travel is an online booking tool for all your corporate online booking needs. You can see ticketprotravel.co.za. And they also have the Smart Tab solution. And the Smart Tab solution, you can see it includes key features like comprehensive route management, flexible passenger payment methodologies, flexible route and fare product setup, shift and dispatch management, cashier system inspection tools, and comprehensive MIS reports. Thank you very much, Ticket Pro. Just to draw your attention to next week's Africa Supply Chain Excellence Awards, you can get all the links also on the Transport Forum's website. And we've got Smarter Mobility Africa. So Olivia here. They can tell you more about Smarter Mobility Africa. It's going to take place 2 to 4 October. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll switch cables just now to fix this flickering. So Smarter Mobility Africa 2 to 4, they also got a barter agreement with the Transport Forum, so we will exhibit there as well. So take note of that. So that brings us back to the quiz. And so if you can type in on your device menti.com, M-E-N-T-I, menti.com. Obviously, the people on Zoom can do it as well. So it's the first time we're going to use Menti with the Transport Forum for this exercise. So let's see how it works. And we're going to ask you questions about our sponsors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it from the PC there at the back, and I'll talk to you from that microphone there. Right, so you type in menti.com, and we're going to present now this. There we go. There's the quiz. And there's the code you should type in. You'll see it now. There we go. You see the code at the top right there, 67625604. If they ask you to type in your name, obviously. And if you can, put in your surname so that we can see who's answered. Just giving guys time to join. I see a lot of people joining. So and this is now obviously questions about our sponsors and alliance partners. And you will have an option to choose from one of 4 correct answers. And the person answering fastest will be the winner. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Gold sponsor, leading provider of integrated end-to-end supply chains logistics services. Who are they? You'll get the options now. Does it work? You guys saw the options. Okay, let's go to the leaderboard. Let's see who was the fastest. Come on screen. Right, Rory Curtin. Congratulations, Rory Curtin. Is Rory in the audience or is he online? There's Rory. Rory, please come and see me later today. I'll hand over the prize to you. Congratulations. So the answer was obviously Unitrans. All right. Let's go to the next one. Question 2 of 2. And here goes. Platinum sponsor being leader provider of innovative telematic solutions. Correct answer was C-Track. All right, let's see who's the winner. Rory Keaton again. Okay, Rory, I'll hand it over to you. You can give it as a gift to anybody in the audience. How's that for the deal? All right, great. Congratulations, Rory. You're very, very sharp. It worked okay, no? 90. So we can use it again. You guys said it worked okay. I think it was great fun. So yeah, Unitrans and C-Track. So ladies and gents, just a quick reminder of our business director of the Transit Forum. It's only 450 rands per year to join. It's been outsourced as a B initiative to Olga Mashilo's company. You will receive an email from myself after this event that you can indicate whether you want to join. The Transit Forum website is there to download your presentations. You'll also get some guidance from me in an email afterwards. All the presentations you see today that's been made available, you'll be able to download them, obviously including all the presentations presented over the past 17 years. It's almost 1,000 presentations you can download for free. All right, so I'm not going to go through all of this. So CtrlFleet, our host for today, I'd like to play you the video.
At CtrlFleet, innovation is at the heart of every decision we make. We execute like never before. Our features include planning, scheduling, driver application, and our value proposition is continuous value and execution for you. We love logistics and transport operations, our clients, and our aim is to provide them with new age technology, innovate their business, and take them to the future.
Right. Thank you very much, CtrlFleet. Ladies and gents, there's our program then. I would like to hand you over then to our host, Mr. Renke Berg. He's a co-founder and expansion and strategy of CtrlFleet, and he's going to do the formal welcome and introduction. Thank you, Renke.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Digital Dynamics, and we're going to discuss the reshaping of the logistic and freight industry. Thanks for those that are here in person and everybody that is online. Starting off with thank you for you, Harry, co-hosting. This is not a plug and play. Harry took about 6 hours of setup, and when he got here last night, I'm going to start calling you the gadget man, Harry, because there are so many things you got to do to get this right. And it's lovely to have a hybrid event where we can, be in person and network, and also have an audience larger outside that can be able to join online. Also, a special thank you to Hanneli from CtrlFleet, our brand lead that's done all the organizing, and then all our partners that are here welcoming on the panel. Today is very exciting and special for us for two main reasons. One is we talk about a topic we hold dear, which is digitalization. And we get to do that with an audience that we admire and that we serve every day, and that's the logistics and freight operators. And the purpose for today is to take a dipstick of where is the freight industry currently in its reshaping towards this digital dynamic and the opportunities that there are for the role players to action on. And we've invited some of our friends and partners that we want to create a forum where we can discuss some of these changing elements. Today's platform is going to be a bit more of an interactive one, we have a larger group of panelists, so it's more of a rapid presentation style. I'm going to invite all the panelists when we get to the rest of the event to join me up front. Grab a seat as you come up. And the idea is that we would like to hopefully enlighten the role players with digital elements that are in the industry that are available for logistics operators to utilize in this journey as they digitize and as they go forward. So thank you everybody for being here. Really excited to have this discussion. So if you can see my presentation. Just a little bit about CtrlFleet. As a logistical software provider, our core purpose and the reason for our existence is to create technology for freight operators to give them control of how they can manage their business. Essentially, we find many logistics operators that are working in disjointed and sometimes very frustrating environments where they don't have a grip of and complete control of their operations. What vehicles are physically doing and what they should be doing are completely disjointed in many operational rooms. Our purpose as a software creator is to step into that space. How can we create a software application, a control environment where we can combine, integrate what vehicles are doing, what they should be doing, and execute? Driver application, customer portal, subcontractor portal, and the management of the execution and revenue. And from that stance, we have multiple partners that we integrate with to get that right. And we feel that in that eco environment, the value that we give to operators, and how they can execute their business in a next generation software forum is our purpose. And that's why we wake up in the morning. One aspect that we really are passionate about too, especially for our freight clients, is the adoption of technology in the driver and in the cab. Many of our speakers today are going to hopefully also touch onto that element. And again, we're empowering a workforce which traditionally potentially have not been able to get onto the digital train as they are today, and that's our drivers. So within our application, our driver solution really tries to enable those drivers to become more part of the ecosystem. And that is part of the value drive that we as CtrlFleet are creating on a day-to-day basis. So let's talk about the reshaping landscape. I think it's important to maybe create some context of where we find this space of freight operators as we navigate through this changing environment. And three things really, stand out for me, and I think for most of you too, and that is that the transport sector is one, essential. Two, it is challenging, and three, it is definitely in a changing environment as we are today, and potentially more so than ever before. The essential part, I think, is just to give ourselves a little bit of a framework of where transport is currently positioned in the mind of many role players, especially if you take a higher view from a supply chain perspective. Transport, and we use an analogy recently, if you take a team sport, and the logistics space or the supply chain likes to use a lot of acronyms. So you've got TMS for transport and WMS for warehouse and MRP for manufacturing. A team of players with all these acronyms on a field are all dependent. They all need each other. But at a certain time of the game, there's a player that needs to do their part. And the transport player, I feel sometimes is not that midfield player. The ball gets kicked to them quite often, quite back to get passed to the next player. Goods from origin or cradle to grave, in that process, transport consistently plays a part. If it either is from a production environment that needs to get transported to warehousing or from warehousing to end client, transport is consistent. So I think that the kingpin, and sometimes for many, the glue in the broader supply chain is this transporter role player. And those members that keep those goods moving in that space. If we do, this is some statistics out of the South African context up until just before COVID. And if you look at the contribution to our GDP in terms of the logistics cost, at that stage, it was about 12.8 already. Breaking that down, you can see that the transport component completely overweighs the rest, just to show you the big impact and the cost driver that lives within the transport space. One can see that in different views. One being that, yes, it is obviously one of the largest components, and also one of the more costly components that needs to be managed correctly. Interesting facts, World Bank recently released. It's interesting that in the African context, most trade is outside of Africa. Only about 12% within Africa trading amongst each other, alluding to the opportunity that if transport and logistics is utilized better, the trade opportunity within Africa can be extended and can be optimized further. I think there's a lot of opportunity as investment grows into this space and also into African trade, that the role that transport and logistics should play will be highlighted and can be extended further. Many countries in the African perspective are really taking on that opportunity, growing. I think we see a lot of initiatives of, trying to reduce regulation and reduce taxes to make free trade more available. And again, transport is going to be kingpin to that, and moving of goods across Africa. It's definitely a challenging environment. Some statistics showing that, global growth in terms of just people by 2030 is going to be about 8 billion. More people relates to more commerce, more trade, and more goods that need to be moved. Urbanization, meaning where goods are being consumed and manufactured, transport is going to play an immense role. So as that grows, interesting fact is that one of the jobs which currently already is in shortage and is going to continue to be in high demand is to be a truck driver. We see a lot of that already in the Northern American market, and it's rippling through into this market where, we need more drivers that are skilled, and we need more logistics operators that are going to be able to play their part and grow the network. An interesting stack is, and this is quite a potentially a paradigm that needs a lot of addressing, and I think the logistics space is moving into optimizing this better. Some statistics show that, in terms of cost of transport, African regions are way costlier than the rest of the world. But comparing that to an index, the logistics performance index, that shows the quality of transport, it is not. It is rated lower than the counterparts outside South Africa. So how do we find ourselves in this challenging paradigm? Higher cost but lesser quality. Some aspects can be contributed to this. The one that in our current logistics environment, it is a very human-intensive space, a very paper-based space, meaning more people with potentially higher labor rates equates to a higher cost and potentially not as efficient. For me, when I look at this stats, I think that this speaks to an area that needs more digitization. It needs to be optimized better. It needs to be utilized better so we can get our cost drive down and our quality back up. So, look at this as a positive challenge that we need to head on together. The sector is definitely changing. I know from humble beginnings, I think one monumental shift in the logistics freight industry has been obviously the introduction of containers. My opinion is firmly that where we are today in the 21st century, with the fourth industrial revolution, the introduction and the almost positive disruption of where the transport industry is now and taking on technology and all the digitization options that are now available to the logistics space, I believe equates just or close to as much as an impact as it had when the containers were first introduced and road transport really took on that, role play of moving goods in that way. And we are in that era as we speak. I think the exciting aspect is we've been looking at the sector change. We've been seeing investment into the sector, and now we are acknowledging and experiencing that change. It's interesting that if you look at investments, typical infrastructure investments, logistics keeps ranking up in the top 3 to 4, obviously competing to industries that have really received funds in aptitude, which is the fintech. But it shows that where funds are currently flowing from a global perspective is more and more in the opportunity of logistics and freight. So again, this opportunity where funds are being flooded, opportunity is there, the landscape is changing.
Renko, sorry, can we interrupt you?
Yes, you
Can
want
we
to check?
quickly switch cables?
Of
Let's
course.
See if we can get the flashing
Okay.
sorted. It will take a second. Thank you. Let's see how that goes. Now we see the Zoom screen. Hopefully that's better.
Thanks, Harry. So talking about the change, we're seeing more investment into this space, and together with the changing elements, which are the fact that our infrastructure in Africa and South Africa in terms of connectivity and road infrastructure is improving. Yes, it is not where it should be yet, but there's definitely improvement being shown, and operators can contest to that. Another major role player in the changing environment is this younger generation of logistical operators that are coming into decision-making roles. We see this beautiful balance and dance of experience with new age thinking of technology. Those two worlds combining, and in a typical transport operational control room, those dynamics are playing and blending, where traditional experience on how operators should do best and road conditions and working with drivers and mechanics, marrying with digitization. And more that culture blends are taking on the opportunity that digitization with experience can give us better output and utilization. So given the change, on top of the challenge, and the fact that we know this sector is essential, what is the opportunity for digitization? So digitization, I think, is not a silver bullet, and it doesn't look the same for everybody. Depending in which life stage you are as a logistical operator, the adoption of initial technology or moving from initial technology to more next generation or more advanced technology in your life cycle, that is what it would mean for you. The opportunity, I think, is the fact that you surround yourself with the right role players that you, one, acknowledge what is in the market, and two, how to adopt that fully and then ultimately keep on utilizing it. And today is an opportunity that we would like to introduce some of those role players. There are many logistics operators that are hungry and need change, but this not necessarily know what is available and how to access that, and need some guidance on to continuously make use of that technology. So for our discussions today, when we do have our panelists here, we're going to have their introduction and give you an opportunity to engage with them and discuss the opportunity at hand. Obviously, with the adoption of technology and the solutions, one thing that we all keep reminding ourselves is change management and the challenge of adoption. Again, I think that is different for everyone. There's no silver bullet in how we adopt technology to fully utilize. But what is true is that if we are consistent and if we groom a culture and if we create this upskilling environment in each of our organizations, the need to do that will be met with the ability to do that. And then change management in terms of new way to potentially better way is what we strive to and where we'll go. So in terms of future trends, many aspects. I know, we get flooded daily with concepts in terms of IoT and artificial intelligence, You know, the concept of even going driverless in terms of vehicles. There are many topics we can handle. Many of them are not necessarily as practical as they should be in what we are really adopting. I think where we are striving to go to, where we are, and where we are currently navigating are different areas. For today, some of the players that you'll be meeting in terms of analytics, integration, telematics, fleet management, revenue management, those are some of the things that we are already seeing in play and really which are tangibly being used. And hopefully today, when we go through the panelists, you can experience some of that. And the fortunate thing about that is they are in our midst. Most of them are South African, they are accessible, and we can actually share some of those case studies today. So thank you everybody for being here. Really excited to introduce the panel. So if you don't mind, grab your seat, the panelists, so we can just have a grouping at the front, and then we can introduce the first speaker, Henny Jooste. Henny, if you don't mind, all of the panelists, if you'd like to introduce yourself, and then we can open up the discussion floor.
Hi everybody, my name is Henny Jooste. I work for a company called the Logistic Company. We focus on pit-to-port solutions for our clients, mostly moving minerals on the Mozambican corridor to the ports on that side. So when I started in the transport industry about 15 years ago, I walked fresh out of varsity into a smallish company, and they started giving me a tour on how things work. So I went to the fleet manager's table, and he pulled out this massive piece of paper with 50 truck registration numbers on it, and all the dates, and he's writing with his hand all the planning each day for every truck. And me being fresh in the company, I just decided, okay, let's keep quiet and just go on with life. But then I wanted to sound smart, and I asked it now from this loading point and to the offloading point, how far is it? And then he took me to a map on the wall with a calculator, and we calculated from each town the kilometers up until we get to the offloading point. And I was like, have you heard of Google Maps? And they were astonished on what Google Maps can do after I introduced that to them. After a few weeks, the fleet manager was ill, and they asked me to assist with the planning. So I took that massive piece of paper, 6.5 hours later of planning and seeing what I can do. I give it to the guys and say, let's call the drivers, here's the loads. And then nobody could read my handwriting. So I quickly realized this is not the way forward. This is not how we can operate. In that time, 15 years ago, the dynamics was completely different. The customers had a different need. It was a rand and cent type of environment. The cheapest transporter will get to work. And they work not the focus of today in today's industry on the customer side is way different. If we go to a customer and ask them to do work for them, the rand and cent is almost a add-on at the end of the day. They want to know where loads are safe. They want to know where the loads are on the road. They want to know exactly how much tonnage has been loaded and what is still en route, the ETAs or when it will get delivered. Some of our clients even want API and integration into their systems. They want to confirm that the registration number of the truck that's on site confirms what the tracking is saying. And I think if we stood still in the 15 years ago environment, nobody would have had businesses. It's very important for us to almost keep up to date, keep the technology that is available in the market and integrate it into our systems. Because if we can't serve the customer needs on what he wants to make sure his load is safe, and that's not even to come to the driver side. On the driver side, which is so technical these days, with so much safety regulations, so much things that you need to consider. You don't just give a driver a truck anymore and say go. You need to manage sleeping hours. You need to manage speed. You need to manage any violations. If it's tired, you need to get alerted. So in the space that we are now in the transport industry, I think we all need to use all the resources available in the market to make sure that we can provide the safest and best solution to our customers. So yeah, Renku screwed up. He didn't upload my presentation, so I'm just freelancing. So so yeah, that's where we are in the business. We really think that we in the next few years is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. We can't just keep up and just stay the same every day. We need to prepare ourselves for the new technology environment that is on its way. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Annie. I think the nicer part about hearing your perspective, the rest of us are all supplying to the market, whereas you are an operator. So it's first-hand exposure of what you are experiencing as a client. So if you are comfortable, I'm going to ask one question, and then Harry, if somebody online, if there's questions that they pose, I don't know, Yaku, if you can catch them on the inbox or the chat line. If we can get some one or two questions from either the audience or online after my question, that we'd love it to get the conversation going. So, Annie, for me, it was regardless what tech, if it is in the fleet management or the telematics, what has been your experience in terms of reasons for lacking of adoption or successful adoption?
I think like most things, people are very scared of change. People are so stuck in their ways, so used to doing something in one specific way. And as soon as you come with something else, a new plan, a new innovation, people are scared of it. But we need to just enroll it. We just need to get people showing them what the systems can do, what everything can do, and then it's easier to implement change.
Lovely. Anybody from the panelists that want to add to that? I think in terms of any of the examples you've seen on where change management, if that is the topic, really the good and the bad of it.
I'll add to that. Hi, Henny. I want to add and say that, yes, I think you're quite right. People are scared of change. And I think if we make that change easy and simple and easy to adopt, Henny is one of our clients as well. So yours is the case study that I'll talk about as well, where we integrated with the systems that you use to bring about that change. And I think, again, I'd just like to say, if we make it easy, then people will be less afraid of adopting that change.
Excellent. Anybody else? Steve, you want to?
Yeah, I think I 100% agree, but I think the only way change management is successful in a business, especially introducing new digital dynamic software, is that the entire business has to adopt it, from the CEO down to the worker. If the team in the boardroom aren't pulling the data out of the system that you're trying to get them to adopt, you're not going to see the operators using that system effectively. And I think that's critical.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience, maybe? on the topic of for any potentially, Jaco, anybody online?
People online, welcome to unmute and talk.
Good. Nobody? I've got a question, Moeni, and that is, we know change management is real, but what is also pertinent is skills gap. I mean, the need and the drive might be there, but we might need to first create a skills orientation for us to really utilize technology. Do you see any initiatives, or what have you seen in terms of skill upgrading to fully make use of technology?
So we work with quite a big spectrum of different people in the company. So I think that most biggest skill gap comes to when you go to the driver side. So in that perspective, it needs to be as simple and as easy as possible. You need to everything should be almost on a drop down. They can't use it only initiative. Otherwise, you will have a million different answers for the same question. So I think it needs to be as simple as possible for everybody, and it needs to be almost the skill level. So the drivers, it's very funny how they work. They can all create a TikTok video or send a WhatsApp video, but when it comes to capturing data on an app, they all of a sudden don't know how to do it. So I think it's as soon as you introduce that, it needs to be as simple as possible for everybody.
Norman, if I may, I know your technology is definitely being used in a widespread, and especially if we say that the driver, like Henny alludes to, there's a challenge. Have you got any experience on what you've seen and how skill adoption can, or training can assist with that?
Yes, definitely. I think, as Henny said, the most important thing is keep it simple. Keep it easy for the driver to understand, keep the flow simple, but also training, continuous training and continuous upskilling of the drivers. And I think we see that as a big gap in the market. People assume, give the driver a device to work with, but they never upskill the driver and train them to a level where they can actually use that device.
Lovely. Before we get to next panelist, any other questions or remarks from the audience? Eugene?
Thank you. If I can just ask too that you identify yourself before you answer, please, anyone from the panel. Can you perhaps just enlighten us to why there might be change resistance towards digitization?
Steve from Fleetager. So I think that for the guys who are using the new hardware or the new software, whatever it is, it seems like a good idea, but it's still in their mind easier to write it on a piece of paper or to use something, and it's just harder to they feel that something new that they've never used before is harder to use than what their piece of paper or their whiteboard can provide for them. And I think that's where the training comes in trying to teach them how to use the hardware or the software. We build a software that we spend hours and hours developing it, testing it, feeling like so it feels easy for us. It's simple for us to capture something. But for them, it's this sort of gibberish of fields and drop downs and all this different things that are difficult to use for them. So I think adoption is difficult because it's easier to do it the way they know how to do it. And I think if we train them, as Norman mentioned, the training is vital and continuous training is vital.
If I add to that, I think, sorry, Jaco, after you.
Jaco from CTRAC. I think in our world, a big gap is also, it's the big brother effect. So the concept or the principle that we actually just want data and to optimize utilization and everything around that is not explained. So the guy at the end of the technology feels that he's just been checked and watched, and that's just a stick, that he's going to get a hiding with. They're not made aware of what the benefit is of the technology that's been rolled out.
Anthony from Plogia. I think one of the challenges is people think this is very complicated to bring in the data coming from multiple different systems, and to go and kind of re-architecture the environments to use multiple pieces of technology is a very complex process. And one of the things which we want to try to get across today is that there are these platforms out there which seamlessly are able to integrate different systems and pull this technology together. So a lot of companies think that it's going to be to take this leap forward is this major stretch, and it's very complicated, very expensive, and they're not ready to get there just yet. But there are tools out there that actually make this quite simple and seamless. And we just need to get people to start adopting these technologies.
I think, you know, and for potentially the uneducated crowd when looking from the outside into technology, now we can understand why user experience is such a real topic, and why as software creators we are spending a lot of, you know, resource and energy in really looking at the user experience. Because that is where ultimately the rubber hits the tar, and where that needs to be used and effectively adopted. Good. Shall we? Okay, no, one more point and then we can move on.
What we've experienced, sorry, it's Norman from IoTI. What we've experienced also from some customers is the customer doesn't want to implement a solution because they can't convince their staff that this is a solution that is workable for them, or the staff feels that they might be monitored. People don't want to be monitored or feel that they are, you know, being controlled. The drivers that, you know, gets the device, you need to get the message over to them on what the benefit will be of this particular device or this particular solution, of the software solution, and not just push it down onto the people. So people need to be informed and trained on what the benefits will be for them in the long term. Safety, security, you know, whatever the case might be for that particular solution.
Lovely. Okay, let's move on to the next panelist, Jaco Leroux. Oh, apologies. Yes.
Just a moment.
Now I got the crowd ready. Now the ice is broken. The coffee is setting in.
Hi, it's Eugene from Mastergraph. I've listened and absolutely fascinating. There's no doubt about it. That's where we should be going if we're not there already. But one of the key components to successfully running any company, you talk about transport, is the nut behind the wheel. Now, Jaco talks about how you watch drivers, etc., and Norman to a certain extent as well. How much of this filters down to that driver who, yes, correctly, he can run TikTok, but he can't do your app? What is it that the system will do to elevate that? Because that's where your big costs come in, right? Maintenance costs, fuel, etc., etc. And while I'm about it, let's just talk to the fact that, and maybe somebody can give some input. People talk about telematics and fleet management. You alluded to it in your presentation. Sometimes they perceive to be the same thing, and others would vehemently oppose and say, no, this is not telematics. This is fleet management. It seems to be a disconnect over there. So summarizing, where does this play in with the driver, with all the technology and that can help him improve his efficiency that makes us more money at the end of the day?
Any other panelists that want to take a shot? Oh, so another question. Hi, Peter.
Morning, Peter Vermeulen from Crossroads. I recently wrote an article about the cost of compliance, you know, to transporters. We transporters, you know, so we quite often we're the customers of the guys sitting in the panel today. And that cost of compliance is really something that we've discussed in detail at Road Freight Association level as well. And to top that up with the technology that's on offer, sometimes becomes very difficult to sell it to a customer. So I think that's the part that the message is also that we need to get out there, is customers must also be on board, you know, with the technology change. And I agree with you. I think digitalization is the way to go. We're investing in this coming year. We're investing heavily in the new transport management as well as the telematics, and you know, we're partnering with CtrlFleet as well going forward. And we see digitalization as the future of transport. Really, we cannot hold back on it. We have to invest in it. But to get at the end of the day, to get the customers to also buy in. And we all know that the economy currently is in a bit of a state. It has been in the past year. But I think we're seeing the upside of it flowing through it currently. So I think it's going to change, but I think there's going to be education that needs to go to the customers, especially large corporates, that the cost of digitization is real, but it's something that in the long term, it's going to fix a lot of things. Thanks.
Great to have you, Peter. And it's encouraging that you're almost, as a customer yourself, acknowledging that. You know, there's an upskilling and an acknowledgement of the client understanding what the road they're embarking, that yes, it also comes with change that you need to drive through and cost. Yeah, thanks, Peter. But does any of the panelists want to answer Eugene on his question about the driver adoption and how that ripples through? I'll take a stab, Eugene. I think, yes, one, I agree completely that there is this, there's this amalgamation of what we refer to as a TMS almost, you know, what is that? Telematics, fleet management, revenue management, cost management, driver application, it all gets bundled into one big thing. And I think the positive is that there is not one solution that does all of that, or very few that even tries. So you get this best of breed world. And I think as soon as those elements, you know, really stick to what they're all good at, then we can get this integrated flow coming through. I think where Flow Gear, as an example, plays their part. And on top of that, we get to your analytics where, you know, members like Oculus play their part. So you get this eco environment where best of breed applications are put in place. And I think if you can identify which that best of breed should do and where it is utilized best, that's the starting point. When it gets to the driver, I think traditionally, if anything was implemented in a logistical operation, the driver was never really a user. You know, it was rippled through by the fact that whatever we do in our office and however we schedule and plan, you as the driver will get the instruction and just do what, you know, whatever fancy operational tool we've got, and however the route optimization tells us, you'll get the instruction. But today, the driver's actually got the device. He's actually going to accept an order. He's actually going to participate by capturing data. So I think the adoption is in now much more real for a driver versus where in the past inherently, you know, he would never, or he or she would never really been participating, but now they do. So I think now we have to train them because they physically have to manage the application. And last comment on that, I think the dynamic is also shifting where clients of our transporters are also adopting technology in a rapid pace and almost, you know, pushing down that technology to the transporter. Now we get in situations where transport operators, their drivers need to manage 3 different apps. When I do work for this client, so the adoption is even more real. Now we need to train a driver on using different apps. So yeah, I think now we really, you know, it's tangible. So I hope that speaks to some of what you've asked. We should take a coffee afterwards. All right. A long one. Let's move on. Jaco Leroux, CTO of CTrack. Thank you. Harry, do you want to... You can show me and I can ripple between the slides. Or if... Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Good morning. Maybe just a bit background. Jaco Leroux, I've been 24 years with CTrack. So just to go back into the past, it was mentioned about Google and mapping. When we started, our mapping was done with a person going to CNA, buying Map Studio maps, scanning it in, stitching it together, geolocating. We had full-time people doing that continuous. Where we are today, street segments of maps are updated bi-weekly internationally, and you get that data immediately. And that's just a change in the world that we live in. So what I want to cover today, obviously, from our technology, we can actually spend a day, maybe more, but I'm going to focus more on data and what the benefit is, I believe, from a data perspective in this digitization era we're living in. Obviously, CTrack is an enabler. We have our devices in vehicles, many sensors that we can pick up and send data, sub-second continuous data. And obviously that just generates a heap of data. So what do you do with it? Everybody is busy. Everybody cannot sit and watch screens. So the direction, you know, where we moving into is is to assist the end customer in making real-time decisions. Your traditional reports, those things are not relevant in today's times. People need to know real time to make a decision, have the data, and focus on where the problem is. And if not that, even assist with a potential answer on that problem. From the device in the vehicle, as I said, we're just the enabler. We send through that data, and in the end, and there's a big uptake that I see in the market currently, pretty much I would say in the last year, API connectivity. And that's a very encouraging thing for me, because it means that there is adoption. People are realizing that the more data you consume, even in our environment, you need to augment your data to be able to predict or provide better information to the end customer. And that combined, this real-time data combined with machine learning and AI, obviously just opens up a new world and provides the capability to give the end customer the real-time pinpoint decision that they need to do, and not really forced to sit behind systems and watch screens as we traditionally did, but can focus on the problems. And even on, a lot of times people just focus on what is the issues, but you also learn. There's positives that comes from these data that you derive and augment, that assist you to apply it on different areas within your business to optimize even further. So that accurate data is very valuable, but it's a lot. It's billions and billions of rows of data that gets consumed. So what do you do with it? And I think we've got some of our partners here today, which is actually playing in that space where they take this data and they present it, and in a fashion, in a way whereby people can use it and make that decision. So I want to maybe in our world become more practical. So for me, digitization, yes, the one side is data, how you use it, how you can use it to optimize, but the real-time decision making in our world, we've implemented that back on the edge. So what I mean by that is our devices can make real-time decisions where the vehicle is driving at that point. And the benefit of that is we all know the previous few years with load shedding, where communication wasn't as good as it should be, which we obviously rely on heavily. Our technology made it possible for those decisions and those pinpoint executions to take place, even if there's no connectivity. So some examples that we have is trucks driving, tipper trucks, and offloading of the content is a problem, because specifically in the coal industries, the proper coal gets swapped out with lower grade. And what we've done is with our device is we managed that truck cannot tip that coal except as defined by the customer. So that gave them a control. There's decision making, but it's not somebody that looks at a screen or needs to be aware that it's where is my truck. That happens autonomously in the background. So and maybe just another example, people that carried or travels on dirt roads with their trucks, they had a huge issue where maintenance went through the roof, because the truck drivers, they just carry on driving. 120 on tar and on ground roads was the same for them. And what we also implemented again on the edge was again that decision making. the controller doesn't have to worry because it's happening, is we limit their speeds as soon as they go onto dirt roads. That brought down their maintenance considerably. And again, as I said, from a digitization point of view, nobody has to be concerned. It's happening. You can focus on other areas of your business and make sure that other things is running proper. So maybe that's just, you know, from what we do and how we assist the industry and the end user to really, I want to say, offload some of this concerns and day-to-day mandatory tasks that they have to do and let the technology sort it out. And another area where I also see there's massive benefit, and this comes back again to also safety, is in the camera front, and not your traditional, you know, for the last few years, the African market was heavily overloaded with Chinese cameras, and they all pretty much did the same. The bad part was, again, you need a bureau or you need somebody sitting behind the screen and managing. Obviously, with the introduction of AI, some of that is taken away, but we actually move now the next step. It's not so much about the actual video footage, it's about the data the footage creates and augmenting that with our own data. And through that, you get to different answers. You can make different decisions. It's not just this video footage and you again use it as a stick to manage people, but you start to predict through the data that the video supplies combined with our IoT device, and you start to predict to see things happening or potentially happening. And that's for me, you know, from a digitization point of view, taking some of that stress and management and let the technology sort it out. Let the technology work with that. And with exceptions, you are notified that, listen, potentially this can happen, or we see that you know your utilization is higher by the first week of the month than any other month. And then you start to manage that aspect, but you don't have to be concerned about the others. Yeah, I think that's in a nutshell. I can go on for quite long about these things, but yeah, I think I just want to focus on, I think, a few aspects of how digitization can really, really assist the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaco. Let's open the floor. I think just to speed up a bit. Anybody questions online or from the audience for Jaco? Nothing online from other Jaco?
Yes, one from Mike.
Thanks, Mike Johnston from Logistics Management. To me, one of the major problems with technology is, it's moving so fast. And there's so many choices, it's difficult to know when to throw your anchor in the water, because once you selected a system, you're stuck with it in a way, because it's, you know, you can't stop and change midstream as the technology advances. So, you know, I presume you've got to try and choose the right supplier. But even then, the right supplier could be caught out by a competitor coming with a bigger, better, more flexible system. To me, that's one of the biggest problems in terms of managing change. It's just moving so fast.
Good. So, Mike, just to confirm, the question or the statement is that, you know, where do you throw an anchor, and what is the factors that you need to consider when you do that, right? Is that?
Sorry, I didn't phrase the question. Yeah, you know, how do you, you know, everybody's saying change is difficult, but in terms of technology and digitization, what kind of process do you recommend that a company goes through when it's having a look at this, at evaluating what its options are and where it wants to go and where technology is going?
Jack, if you don't mind, I'm gonna, you fine.
Jaco from CTRAC. Yes, that is a very, very complicated area and to manage that. So you know, in our business, we try and find a balance. So we, you know, proudly South African, we do develop some of our own devices. We make use of device suppliers. And that is just sort of to try and mitigate that problem. Technology is moving at a high pace. Me and the other gentleman had a discussion earlier. You know, if the industry is not going to adopt, some of these people is going to stay behind, because the rate that the new technology is coming in versus the adoption rate is a concern. So you know, obviously, from my side, where I actually work and build some of these devices, it is really a tricky thing. If I maybe just put some context around it, a few years ago, the life cycle of components was easily 10 to 15 years. Now it's 2 to 3 years. Then it's end of life. Then you already have to have the new product available. So I think that will always be part of our lives. You know, if you think, let's take mobile phones. If you're always going to wait for the next new one, you're never going to buy the new one, or you're never going to get the new one. At some stage, you need to make that decision, have that partner. I think a benefit for me, as at least, is in our industry, because we are making or manufacturing ourselves, is we have that control. We design our devices to be future-proof, in quotes. Nobody of us can predict what's going to happen in the next 2 years or 3 years, but we create that capacity, and we are in control of every aspect of it. So we can control the firmware, we can control the hardware. So that gives us a bit more control than adopting devices that's been pushed into the country, whereby you pretty much sit with what you sit. You know, I think everybody knows about the sunset of 2G and 3G in a few years. You know, that's a big thing, because now immediately you had to have that foresight to start to push your technology into that direction. Otherwise, you're gonna be in a bad place in a year or two. I know that's not a direct answer, but that's how we manage it, is to have that balance, so that for some aspects we are in 100% control. For other verticals where it's not so technology intense, we use, I want to say, off-the-shelf technologies.
Okay. Thanks, Jaco. Just welcome our next panelist, Anthony Miller from Flowgear Business Development. Lovely to have you, Anthony. There is actually a presentation. Okay, lovely.
Just need to get the project on again. No problem. We're going to have a challenging project in your eyes. Maybe we can get you guys maybe to search things.
I'll just wait for the presentation to load. So whilst we wait in, I want to first of all say thank you to CtrlFleet for inviting us here today. It's our first time at the forum, hopefully not our last time, and I think I'm confident to say that we should be joining the forum. So hopefully you'll see us as a newest member. in listening to the introductions this morning and all the videos, I counted the word integration, I think about 42 times. You kept me on your toes. But so what I want to talk to you today about is integration and automation, and practically, how do you use integration platforms to seamlessly connect your internal systems, your customers, and your suppliers? So if I look at the problem statement, which we're trying to solve here, is with the advent of cloud, e-commerce, complex supply chains, companies are becoming increasingly dependent on an increasing array of apps, systems, and services to operate efficiently and grow their businesses. But sharing data between these systems is still the biggest challenge. Also, there's been this big transition away from how people think about technology. So from legacy bespoke systems to best-of-breed SaaS systems. So, not too long ago, if companies wanted to bring technology into their business, they would commission a software development company and they'd come in and they'd create bespoke systems for their business, because everybody believed that their business was completely unique and needed something custom. Today, what's happening is people are adopting best-of-breed technologies. You need an ERP system, you're going to go to SAP or Sage or Syspro. You need a CRM system, you're going to Microsoft or Salesforce, e-commerce, Shopify, etc. And also, what's happened is you've got companies which have these legacy systems, and most of them are on-premise systems. And now they're dealing with the challenge of, well, how do I deal with customers and suppliers who are working in the cloud? And how do I get our system to work with those systems? Or alternatively, you've got companies which have developed all this amazing technology, and they say, well, in terms of integration, we've solved this problem, we've built this API. And this is a term that not many people understand, but we solved it, we got an API. But how do you deal with the last mile? So do your customers need to integrate into you? Do you need to integrate into your customers? Who's going to cover this cost? Who's got the skill set to do it? Do we have internal people, etc.? So these are some of the challenges that we face. And I think to the question at the back over there previously was, which technology do you adopt? And do you, and then how long do you stay with this technology? I think one of the things that's happening in this industry is you can change technologies. Like I say, the technologies that are out there, these SaaS technologies, are subscription-based. So you pick a technology that works for you, and so long as they keep up to date with where technology is moving, then they'll become your trusted partner. But in the event that they don't, or you find better technologies, you can take out new subscriptions and grow as you move along. So what I want to talk to you today about is really about iPaaS, integration platform as a service. So to give you an understanding of technology tools in the world of integration tools, we kind of look at it in three levels. At a very entry level, you've got tools, we call them citizen integration tools or product-based solutions, tools like Zapier and IFT. These are great little tools. They do very linear integrations, but you very quickly come up against their limitations. In the middle, you've got hand coding, is where, again, you commission software developers to come in and build out these integrations. Hand coding is really what people are trying to move away from. It's inherently brittle because it integrates two systems at a point in time. And as those systems update, so the integration deprecates, it also places quite a heavy reliance on key man dependency. Now, at the top end of integration is you've got platforms. Now, platforms enable companies, you've got these platforms give companies this kind of blank canvas to build out solutions based on the company's rules. And you have a blank canvas to do this. Now, at the top end of platforms, there's a category which was created by Gartner called iPaaS, Integration Platform as a Service. If you're not familiar with Gartner, they're probably the world's leading vendor in terms of software analysis and review. And Gartner created this category. There's about 35 iPaaS vendors globally. Flowgear, I'm paid to say that Flowgear is one of them. In fact, we're the only South African vendor. And really what iPaaS companies do is they enable companies like yourselves or customers without writing any code or low code, if that's their preference, to integrate with any application, service, API, or database. So whether a company is trying to integrate their internal systems or maybe upstream to suppliers or downstream to customers, they can use these platforms to do this. And the way these iPaaS platforms do this is by having a very large ecosystem of several hundred pre-built application connectors. So most of these systems have connectors which cover all your mainstream CRMs, ERPs, e-commerce, and financial systems. There's billions of systems out there. So wherever there isn't a pre-built connector, there are generic connectors, which essentially do the same thing in just one or two more steps, but enable you to connect into any system that has a API, whether it's a REST or an old SOAP, if you're dealing with a SDK, a database, desktop application. And essentially what these connectors do is they abstract away the complexities of working with these third-party systems. So one, it deals with the plumbing and authentication into these systems. And then two, because these are no-code platforms, it visually surfaces all the fields and objects that one would need to work with that particular API or that system. So the idea is once you've integrated these different systems together, the next step is you visually build out workflows to pass data between these different systems to automate a process or to facilitate a transaction. And again, this can be between cloud-based systems, on-premise systems, or a hybrid of those two. So I'm wary that I've only got 7 minutes, so I'm going to put some stuff on the screen. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but we can talk about it afterwards. But I wanted to talk about just some common use cases for this industry. And the first one actually is not just relevant to this industry. It's about automating manual processes. You know, one of the things we see at every single customer globally is people are manually capturing data out of flat files. So if you've got somebody who manually captures data out of a PDF or an Excel document into another system, please stop doing that. Create a workflow. It will look for that file wherever the source is. It can be an email inbox. It will open it, extract the data, reshape it, and push it into a target system in real time with 100% accuracy. The second for the industry is a lot of real-time tracking and visibility. So this is where you're looking at integrating GPS systems, IoT devices, with logistics platforms to give you full visibility and tracking. Automating freight booking and management systems with carrier databases. Then the next two over here are already at the heart of most integrations. It's the ERP system and your CRM system. And by integrating those systems, what you're going to find is in your ERP, you're dealing with automating invoicing, payment processing financial information. In your CRM system, you're able to pull information around your entire customer experience, the order history, anything that's basically sitting in your ERP, in your CRM system. So, and then the last one is around supply chain optimization. But I think we industry agnostic, we system agnostic. And the idea behind what I want to get across today is that I said earlier, a lot of people think, you know, where do we start? And this is just too complex. There are technologies out there. These iPaaS platforms exist. You know, you ought just need to say, these are the different systems we want to use. And the platforms are designed to seamlessly connect into those other systems and then build out the rules so that you can abstract, you can get the data and information that you want so that it doesn't sit in silos and you can have a single source of truth across your entire organization. So I'm going to stop there and happy to take any questions.
Boy, you've hit a lot of strings there. speaking about that best of breed integration, I think what you do and what you offer is really relevant for this industry, especially the transition from legacy to from on-prem to cloud, and where we're still going to have to integrate many of these things to have an eco environment for operators to function. If you don't mind, I'm going to hold your questions from the audience so we can just get through some of the panelists and we can have a bit of a longer Q&A after that. So please write down, and those online, make a mental note of the question for Anthony. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of them. So to talk to on the next panelist is Steve Beer from FleetIt. Thank you for coming in. I know you flew in last night from KZN into a cold Victoria. Great to have you here. Thanks.
Thanks, Rinko. So I think that was Anthony's coming up before me was quite a good precursor to pretty much everything that I'm going to say. I mean, we're actually busy partnering with FlowGear, in fact, in terms of connecting systems together. So digitization in the fleet world. My name's Steve. I come from FleetIt. Just a quick overview of what we do. We're a fleet cost and information management software. So all your fleet costs from fixed and variable gets inputted into our system to help you understand what your running costs are and provide further insights. So when we talk digitization in the fleet space, it's quite a utopia, I think, for many businesses. We spoke. Henny spoke just now about the walking into the fleet manager's office and seeing a big white piece of paper with a whole bunch of routes and mappings and all that. And I think the unfortunate reality is that for many fleet managers' offices that we walk into, that's still what we see, right? We see packs of paper stacked strategically to help them find the next order. We see whiteboards scribbled with outdated information and spreadsheets that are connected by advanced formulas that are waiting to just be overwritten and lost. And then in the boardroom, we have a bunch of executives that are hoping to see some really clean, concise, and neat data that can help them make some really smart decisions about the business. And at FleetIt, we're trying to really merge that gap and bring those two together. And our product has evolved quite significantly over time from being what historically was a bit of seemingly a repository of information, people capturing or importing various sets of data into it. And for many instances, a duplication of what was happening there to the other departments like the finance teams and all of that, to now becoming a fully integrated solution. And actually, FleetIt is being, one of our customers called us the Fleet ERP system. And with that, what we've been able to do, and speaking of integrations, is we have data either flowing into our product or we're the conduit for data flowing out of our product. So where it makes sense for the system, the data to be sourced outside, so things like fuel or on the road fueling and tracking information, that information gets pulled into FleetIt, and we're constantly working at doing that through an integration process instead of someone having to manually capture it or manually put it into the system. And then where the biggest challenge came in terms of managing your fleet costs is that many customers are using their accounting system or the ERP system and having to create project codes and significant numbers of ledger accounts or item accounts to try and categorize all their different costs and understand what is going on within their fleet space. By using a product like FleetIt, they've been able to adopt FleetIt to become the purchase order software, their workshop management software, their job card management software, and that then integrates seamlessly into the accounting and ERP system. What it allows is that the accounts team and the finance team can focus on what they're doing without having to have a knowledge of what a clutch plate is and what a vehicle registration is. And the fleet team can actually focus on looking at managing their data a bit more efficiently. So an example of this in terms of what we've recently done is one of our customers is using SAP, and they had, I think, 25 different item codes within their business that was managing, whether things were brake and clutch costs, whether things were accident costs. And it was heavily reliant on various purchasing teams creating purchase orders and pushing that information. And when it came down to reporting, it was all in one single cell of data that was impossible to analyze. Adopting over to FleetIt, they now raise all those purchase orders within our product. It pushes automatically into SAP, writes it, it's receipted in Fleet and again pushed into SAP. What it's done is it's allowed them to now, at a line level within a job, analyze and break down what is a clutch cost, what is a brake cost, where the accident costs are. And with that, along with their fuel as well. So from a fuel perspective, they've been able to analyze their fuel significantly more accurately than looking at it within their accounting system. And it's allowed them to have a bigger ability to adopt this digital product into their business, because suddenly it is the tool that they're using, and that's giving the boardroom the results that they want to do. So I know we're short for time, so I've cut it a bit short, but that's, I think the core is that in terms of a lot of the questions were around adopting digital products and around, embracing all the new products and the digitization. And I think the key to it is exactly what Anthony was saying, is in terms of integrating the different products. And if you can integrate your products, you can have as many products as you want. You can adopt the new age technology that comes in, and you can see it through to get the results that you want in the boardroom. Cool.
Thank you, Steve. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, this just is a testimony of the fact that if we can encourage these sessions where traditionally where, from the outside it might be seen that, this is two conflicting TMSs potentially or multiple, it's not. We are all working together in this eco environment, best of breed applications, bring different value combinations to a client, and then giving the opportunity for them to dance together. So I'm very, very happy that you're here. Again, I'm going to ask for those questions to be placed on hold for a bit. I'm going to do one more panelist, if you don't mind, before we do a quick comfort break. And that is Andrew. Also, I'm very happy to have you here, representing Oculus today. Andrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Renko. Good to be here. So my name's Andrew Bosma. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Oculus. I'm also the original founder. And about 10 years ago, what we recognized in the market is that everybody was creating all this data. They've got all these systems. But in the world of emerging technology like cloud, etc., when people were thinking about BI reporting and analytics, it was heavily focused on traditional systems, say Crystal Reports, ClickView, etc. So about 10 years ago, we set out to sort of redesign what it means to analyze business data, and we started building Oculus. So what Oculus is a software provider of BI reporting and advanced analytics with machine learning and AI capability. So one of the things that we do when we onboard new customers is that we like to put forward this slide. So what this slide does is it tells us, okay, where is our customer in terms of their digital journey and how are they leveraging data to make better decisions? So what I want you to do is have a look at the slide and think about this as a mental model where you are in your business and where you want to go to. And it gives you a roadmap in terms of what's the next thing to focus on and basically the level of complexity that you need to start thinking about. So basically at a base level, you want to start at actually collecting your data. So that means I have a database, I have all of these systems, I use integration platforms, etc. But you need to collect data. That's your number one component. But then it comes down to, okay, cool, I've collected all this data. What do I need to see? And that comes down to static reports. It might be PDF reports, etc., that you generate within your business. It might just be Excel integrations on the data that you've just captured. But the key thing is that if you want to move from operational to strategic, you need to step up the sophistication of what you're doing. So if you're stuck in tabular reporting, you're only going to remain sort of within that operational state. If you want to take it to a more strategic level, you've got to start thinking about real-time reporting, business intelligence, advanced analytics. And then the core of that is to say, well, I might use my analytics tool to calculate certain values, and I actually want to start triggering data automations, push that into other systems, and use that for further insights. But I think we all recognize that the world is moving to more of a transformational space where ultimately people want to start adopting AI technology. And then, the key thing is that AI is not a one-trick pony. AI consists of generative AI, like the ChatGPT, etc. But more traditionally, it consists of machine learning, which is basically training models to predict values that basically you want to use within your business. And then ultimately, where we see the market going is using these models to build a digital twin of your business. It's a bit of an abstract concept, but if you think about your business, there's all these rules, there's all this data. Using machine learning, you could essentially create a digital model of a vehicle moving through space. If you think about it, a certain vehicle delivers goods from one customer to another. You might have historical loads to say, well, if I loaded coal from this point to that point, how long did it take me? And then training models, and then looking into the future, you might say, well, how long should it take me to go from this customer to this customer if I'm loading this commodity? And then based on what the model says, then you can track, well, what's happening in reality and measure the difference between the two, and then ultimately optimize. So I think that's the core of what I wanted to get across today. So thank you very much.
I don't know about you, but it's super exciting to know that we don't need to go across borders to get that analytical needs that we need. It's local, it's right here, and it's best of breed. So super excited to have you here. And I'm pretty sure, again, there's going to be a lot of interaction with you. Let's do that quick comfort break because we catch you up on time very nicely. And after the break, we're going to have Michael from EasyClear and Norman from IoT. And then we're going to do our nice panel discussion, open up the floor again and have a nice fluent discussion about some of these things that the panelists have discussed and the rest that still will. So those that are online, go and grab your coffee at home, and these that are here, we'll see you at the back. Thank you very much.
As jy enigstens iets is, kyk na ons gister gepost het. Daar was 'n van Transnet, maar ek wil as jy enigstens iets kan ekstra in jou but ja, it's a bit stuck here in your connectivities issue at the hotspot by the last check.
Right, wonders what a cup of coffee can do, right? Excellent. Let's continue our discussion. Straight into it, if you don't mind. Next panelist is Michael Henning. Easy, clear? Great to have you here again, Michael. I think you do have a slide, eh?
No.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm going old school today. Pen and paper. Folks, it's encouraging to see such young faces amongst the IT suppliers here. And I think it speaks to what Renko was saying about the mix between the generation, you know, the experience and the youth of the people in this industry. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, as the coffee kicked in. And welcome to those online. I can't see you, but I know you're there. It's a pleasure to participate in today's meeting, Renko. Thank you, and Harry, as always. And I'm grateful to be asked to talk, especially on a subject that I'm quite passionate about. And I think it's also fitting that we discuss this subject on the back of the United Nations Economic Committee and the let me put my brill on here. The International Chamber of Commerce's call for accelerated adoption of standards for digital trade worldwide. And that was an announcement, a call to action on the 9th of July. So let me give you some context. I've heard a lot about software, particularly in logistics and where it affects transport. I'll give you a little bit of insight, hopefully, on where we play, or the space where we play within the logistics market. EasyClear provides software solutions to the freight forwarding, clearing, and logistics industry in South Africa to meet regulatory requirements of SARS and other government agencies covering the movement of cargo for air, road, rail, and sea freight. Now, as a software company, digital transformation, particularly within the logistics industry, has been a key focus for us from the start. Where, as an example, in our early legacy software, we digitized a very manual quality control process of tracking physical files for agents at the border to speed up the efficiencies for drivers collecting those documents by simply introducing barcodes and scanners into the process. And I'm going back some 15 years now already, when we were still on a Windows-based operating solution. The fourth industrial revolution, as you mentioned earlier, and as it was coined in 2016, was a digital enabler for many, including SARS. SARS had begun their modernization journey in the early 80s, and they'd kicked off the new Customs Act program in 2015. And today, this journey for SARS aligns with their Vision 2024. And the area of focus that resonates with us as a service provider, software as a service provider, is their focus on implementing emerging technologies, facilitating process reengineering with greater reliance on data and technology-driven processes to optimize resources. That's something that resonates with us in that space. The digitization of customs processes is significantly streamlining international logistics and reducing bottlenecks in a few ways, some of which I'd like to share with you as follows. The automation and efficiency. And he spoke about a case study and where when he joined TLC and the board there, and he started looking at efficiencies and automating things. Part of that automation journey, and as a case study for us, was the implementation of APIs to integrate data from the transport management solution or the simple systems processes internally with the customs processes to reduce that duplication of data and speed up the efficiencies in the company. We've gone on obviously to more standard, or providing more standard APIs, and I'm encouraged, and I see potential partners in the panel here that I'm going to talk to afterwards. But yeah, we've gone on to providing more standard APIs driven by client needs within the various modalities, and based on varying third-party requirements, to what we're now producing a fully autonomous clearing solution for an early adopter in the e-commerce environment, facilitating scalable volumes. Another area of digitization for us anyway, where we've seen the benefit, is obviously the electronic documentation, integration and connectivity. So instead of relying on physical paper, I should heed my own words. Instead of relying on the physical paper documents and a rubber stamp, which many of the transporters are probably well aware of, especially at the border post, that stamp that you need on the SRD 500 document. Digitization allows for the electronic submission and processing of said documents, reducing time spent on document handling and, of course, physical inspections, and making the process faster. The implementation of some of, and I talk about SARS a lot because we're very closely aligned to what they do, particularly in the regulatory environment. I mean, we have to be. So one of the SARS strategic objectives, and there are 9, go and look them up, is single window. And that's aimed at improving efficiencies and optimizing resources by digitizing what was a manual process. It's not without its challenges. I was on a meeting with SARS Operations Lubombo yesterday, where SARS head office is trying to implement this pillar of single window. And my clients were screaming at me and saying, "Mike, how do we get out of this?" Because one of their clients had, or one of the traders, an importer, had erroneously opted in on the RLA system to sharing documents with other government agencies, which then threw them into the single window single window pilot, and inadvertently the agent as well. And suddenly they were getting electronic messages to do this and upload documents to these cases, and nobody knew what was going on. So when I looked into it, and the reason I'm going down this and telling the story is when I say there are challenges operationally as well, because you need your digital solution to be aligned with that operational process. Lebombo is very unique in that the physical inspections do not take place within the border control area. They take place outside of it. So when you've got a system that says, right, you need to go from A to B, the vehicle is marked for arrival, and then it must be marked for exit, but then there's another side process in the middle that says, right, there's another government agency involved and you need to do an inspection. Well, I can't mark the vehicle for arrival, but the vehicle for exit, but the vehicle needs to exit to get to the physical inspection point. There's misalignment. So it is key that operational processes and digital processes are nicely aligned. But it is something that we are proudly participating in with SARS during that pilot, and the OGA in this case is DELARD, the Department of what was previously known as the Department of Forestry and Fisheries, Agriculture. So another area is risk management and compliance. Digital systems can obviously analyze data more comprehensively, enabling better risk management. Certainly from a customer's perspective, from SARS, we see that their risk engine is well versed in that. They flag high-risk shipments for closer inspection, and they can expedite low-risk ones, improving overall security and compliance. Again, talking to one of the SARS strategic objectives being that of the authorized economic operator. And some of the transporters in the audience probably are aware of this. Certainly the clearing agents are. If you haven't heard of SARS AEO, authorized economic operator, go and find out, get involved, get yourself into that program. It is yielding positive results. We've seen clients participating in the program of compliance and supply chain security standards being subjected to fewer inspections, assured facilitation and faster processing at the ports of entry, resulting in what is often overlooked cost savings due to reduced standing time, particularly in the road freight environment. So on the subject of regulatory change, that's something that we do for our clients who are the customs clearing agents, who obviously contracting or doing the clearance for the transporter. We maintain a very close relationship with both SARS and through our engagement with them directly and indirectly through industry bodies like what was mentioned today, the RFA, Road Freight Association, SAF, the South African Air Freight Forwarding, and SAPA. We've participated in shaping the industry and keeping trade compliant with regulatory changes through the deployment of our solutions that align with SARS for the submission of the customs declaration and cargo reporting requirements in support of their Vision 2024. So on reflection, our journey started in 2004 with a legacy solution and the aim of providing a software solution for the clearing industry using technology of the day to where we are now, that is providing integrated software as a service solutions to a modern logistics industry holistically. And we've got software deployed in businesses across all modalities in all aspects of the supply chain. And we're currently involved in projects to meet regulatory change and the digitalization of processes with PPCEB in the perishable export industry, which somebody mentioned, one of the panelists mentioned earlier, the transport industry, I think, Henny, you mentioned it, was based on rands and cents. People are still counting rands and cents, particularly in the export perishables industry. We've obviously also looking at, or we're involved in projects in the air freight modality and in particular e-commerce environment. And we're starting now to focus on, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited to be here as well. We're starting to focus on the transport and fleet management solutions through partnerships and collaboration in this space. There's no one size fits all. There's a big enough market for everybody to play in. And I think ultimately what we're looking at is to provide solutions that speak to business needs for our clients. And we welcome integrations with partners. So in conclusion, I think the digitalization trend transforming the logistics industry and the ever increasing appetite for technological solutions that enable the enhancement of businesses' existing processes to unlock potential profit and provide a competitive advantage will continue to drive and reshape the landscape of the freight and logistics. And we're proud to be a part of it and proud to add value. Thanks, Renko. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. What a privilege to have your experience as part of this collaboration, right, in terms of our digitizing of the industry. Okay, for our last panelist, I think there's this race for all of our software providers to get into the cab, right? And we have multiple different solutions that we want the driver to use and data to get back. But for one of the members which are in the cab with their hardware solutions, amongst other solutions, great to have you here, Norman. I'm excited to hear what you have to offer.
Thank you. I'm Norman Parkin from IoTI. First, I want to just say thanks to Renko for the invitation and CtrlFleet. We're a fairly young company in this industry, but we focus on something completely different that, was a need that was created from a customer that we were servicing for completely other types of business. And I'll quickly take you through. We do have a presentation. I don't know if it's been loaded. Okay, so it's fine. I'm going to just talk you through it and just show you what we do. So everybody's got software solutions, but when you need to have that software solution work, you need a device, some type of device, a computer, a handset device, or whatever the case might be. And one of the biggest problems that our customers are facing in the market is when you issue a cell phone to a driver, you sit with a problem. The first thing is drivers are very hard on these devices. They break these devices. When this device has a cable that's plugged in to the device, that cable always breaks. So every month you have to replace that cable. There's always an excuse not to use this device efficiently and ensuring that the software that you guys develop is used efficiently to monitor what the driver is doing. Because drivers inherently wants to hide certain things. They want to make sure that you don't know what's going on. They don't want to take that photo of that bump that they caused. They want to make sure that the device is off so that that photo is never taken. So what we did is developed a very simple solution, and this is how the company started, is a mechanism that is essentially, let me see if I can get a camera close. It's a mechanism that, where's the camera? That side. Okay, so it's a mechanism that essentially has 5 little magnets. It's a patented technology that essentially all it does, it attaches the device to a little box that goes into the vehicle itself. So you'll see these are the magnets. And I'll tell you a little bit about these little boxes that we've developed. So this is the phone with the hardware and rugged device, and we supply the whole solution end to end to our customers. So we don't do software. We don't focus on software, although we do have some software that supports the hardware, which I'll talk about now. But this little magnet allows connectivity and allows the device not to come off, like your normal little gadgets that you put in the vehicles. While this device is present, it charges the device. So when it charges the device, we can also see that the device is present. So we can monitor that this device is attached to this particular unit. So this unit fits into the radio tray, and we then make sure that this device charges all the time. We can also monitor, obviously, the location of this device, but we go way beyond that. We have the ability to switch the cameras on and off remotely. So if you need to quickly see what's going on inside the cabin, and the guy has stuck something on the drive cam, and you can't view through the drive cam, you can remotely access the camera of this device and see what's going on in the cabin. It also assists with accident monitoring and management. So as you drive, it records information inside the cabin continuously. And when you have an accident, a 2-minute video, is sent to a server that is kept safe for later analysis. We also lock this device down to an extent where the driver can't change the volume, because that's one of the excuses. They say, but I couldn't hear, when you were talking. Because this particular device has a very, very audible audio stack that works very efficiently in trucks. So it is a Bluetooth connected unit. And that, when you give the driver the ability to change the volume, immediately what happens is they'll put it to soft and say, but I couldn't hear. And when you do a test, yes, then it was soft. So we resolve that particular issue. You can't switch the device off. So if the device is stolen, the device becomes useless. So we do work with NOx and NOx management to control the devices remotely. Then we've developed a little app called One Touch that allows you to set up to 10 numbers on the phone. And only those 10 numbers can be phoned from the device. And only people from those 10 numbers can phone you. So it's simple solutions that we focused on when we looked at this particular piece of hardware that we developed. We then had a need for some customers that wanted to digitize their particular sign-on glass environments. So we then developed this armband solution where the particular device then just goes to the armband, so the guy has freedom to move his hands. So he has freedom to move his hands, carry the goods that he needs to carry the documentation, whatever the case may be, and have the ability to get a sign-on glass documents finalized. And obviously, you reduce drops of devices. Every drop on a device causes damage on that particular device. So as far as hardware is concerned, when we realized we have this unit in a vehicle, we realized, but we have a Bluetooth connectivity, a Bluetooth environment. And we then developed this little board, which you won't be able to see from there. But this little board is a sensor that has the ability to sense various elements, from movement, temperature. This is the little board. So movement, temperature, vibration, engine runtime, door open, door close. And it's a stick-on sensor. It runs for 7 years on a battery. But the magic about this little unit is the distance that we get between this unit and our gateway. 5 kilometers on Bluetooth. The longest Bluetooth solution globally developed. We're very proud of that. And we transmit that information to our gateways. And that becomes a mechanism that we use for other types of applications. We have this unit that goes onto rhinos at the moment. So we do rhino monitoring. And we can tell the particular customer where the rhino is moving. And it's got solar panels, so it charges itself using Bluetooth and a GPS. So these little sensors has a range of applications. And I mean, you can just imagine, having a little sensor in a pallet, ensuring that that pallet is loaded when it needs to be loaded. And when that pallet is downloaded at the customer, how long has it been standing outside? What is the temperature of that particular pallet? Why is the goods spilled? What happened with the particular goods? But at the end of the day, I mean, anybody can sell a sensor, but it's about cost and efficiencies. So it has to save you money at the end. If you don't save money implementing technology, you don't have any benefit from it. So, and that's been one of our biggest drivers, developing everything ourselves in-house, producing it in South Africa, and creating longevity for the product that we have. A lot of people buy products from China. We had some discussions earlier, and you'll buy one form factor today, buy 1,000 units. 2 weeks later or a month later, you buy and place another order, then the form factor changed. Now you have to redesign your enclosure, you have to do this, you have to do that, to try and just keep up with, the trend and keep up, that particular unit and keep it alive. So what we do is very, very simple and very easy technology. And this particular product, so by the way, is called Easy Tag. You'll see that this particular one has a little ear tag. So we put this on animals so we can track animals and, you know, yeah. And that's what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Super relative. I think the hunt to get digitization properly onboarded starts and ends many times with the device and the hardware that needs to be, especially in the cab. So I'm pretty sure you're going to get many calls after this and excited to work together with you. So that concludes our list of panelists. And I don't know about you, but there's a flame in my belly about what and all the beautiful integrations and collaborations we are getting, and hopefully you as the logistical freight audience, you know, have seen and tasted and have got a brief introduction of what is available out there. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's all here. It's all in your grasp, and all of these functions and solutions are easily integratable, want to integrate and want to give you that full-on holistic solution. So I would like to open up back the forum for a nice discussion in terms of some of the Q&As and opportunity for the audience and online members to ask some questions. I'm going to take us back to your discussion, Anthony, from Flow Gear. And if you don't mind, yeah, let's huddle up again. And I wanted to ask you on the topic of integration, again, a theme that really stands out today is this best of breed. And that we almost acknowledge the fact that logistical clients will have multiple applications in their environment, which is not frowned upon. It's by choice, it's by design, best of breed. They can integrate seamlessly. What do you see as a very typical integration request consistently coming from this space out of the logistics clientele? Harry, you've got to.
So I think to answer that is the answer sitting in this room. If I look at the panelists up here and you know, some of your sponsors, you guys have developed this best of breed technology, and your clients need to adopt this technology, and it's everything from what, you know, I could go back and play the Unitrans video or the C-Track video or any of the technologies that have been presented up here today. You no longer have to build your own solution. You can go out and say, all right, I'm going to work with C-Track. They've got, or any one of these companies, and say, you know, and you don't have to take the full stack either. You can pick and choose different things that are relevant to your business. And then where we come in is just the ability to get those systems talking to each other. So we very, in terms of like the amount of connectors we got, whether they pre-built connectors or generic connectors, we kind of agnostic because we work with all these technologies. And because it's like I said, it's a platform, it gives you this blank canvas to say, I want to combine these 10 different systems, and I only want to take these pieces of data out of these systems, and I want to transform it and combine it to achieve your own unique objective. So I don't think I want to pinpoint it down to there's like one particular use case. We give you this blank canvas, and we're very agnostic in that space.
Wonderful. Any questions in terms of Anthony's discussion with integration that some of you might have held back till now?
Yes. Thanks, Harry. Just on the Dayon from AfriLogics, with regards to the integration, what type of skill set would you need to use your platform to integrate tools, or is it something that your guys would do on our behalf, or is it something we can manage by ourselves?
So there's a combination of options in terms of implementation. So we're a platform, but then obviously you need to implement. So one of the things I can speak about Flowgear is we've got an online certification course that's hosted on Udemy. We created this about 18 months ago. We got over 2,000 people certified globally on the platform. And what the course does is it enables you to actually go out and build out these integrations yourself. We're a no-code platform, so you don't need to be a developer to do this. We look at, I mean, if you've got a development background, it certainly helps because you are going to be building things in the mindset the way a developer would, but everything is done visually. So it's a certification course. It's about 6 hours of on-demand video, another 8 to 10 hours of exercises that need to be completed. And by the end of that, if you've got technical teams, they are then able to go out and build out these integrations on top of the platform. If you don't have technical teams, Flowgear's got a professional services implementation arm. So we could always come and scope out the project for you, and then we can go and build it. Often what some companies want is us to do the initial build and the heavy lifting. And then if you use your in-house resources to then go build and maintain, I mean, you don't have to pay us to do things that you can do internally. On top of that, we've got about 120 partners globally who resell and implement Flowgear, and they certified. So there are a couple of people on our panel over here who are, I think, are partners or should be partners. And if you're working with these companies, then they can actually build out the integration because they already know and understand your business and your needs.
Good question. Maybe just to bring some of the online members on board also, great comment from Frank Aspelin, stating digitalization should be an element of strategy and implemented with a proper change plan using recognized change management methodologies. Approach it like you would any project you take serious, put a plan together. On the topic of integration, I want to bring Andrew into the discussion. Obviously, now we've got this eco environment potentially with multiple best breeds integrated, data flowing. How far do you feel, and what is your opinion about the logistics operators currently potentially still focusing heavily on historical and current data analytics versus getting into a world of more predictiveness? Any comment on that?
So I think the key thing is that you have to have the historic first. I don't think you're even going to get into the predictive space if you are not collecting, storing, and analyzing what you do have. So I think there is ways to go. I think there are, say, pockets of excellence, but I think there's huge scope to do it. But yes, it starts with collecting, it starts with integrating. And I think the core thing is, each customer needs to start thinking about their data as their own, not as let's call it disparate systems all over the place. So they should take ownership, for instance, from a data warehouse point of view, and integration platforms to say, yes, I'm the owner of my data, and this is the strategic objectives I want to achieve with it. So it starts with going out to these services, collecting it, storing it, and then subsequently analyzing it. But they need to start building up their data catalogs. What does a customer mean to them? What are the dimensions of the customer? What does a product mean to them? What are those dimensions? And then once they have, let's call it that data catalog, only at that point are they in a position to start getting more advanced, doing machine learning algorithms, because what you'll find is that when you start training machine learning algorithms, if you're not achieving accuracies above 50%, you might as well toss a coin. You need to start aiming for accuracies 80% plus for it to actually add value. And what you find is that as people go down on these projects, what they'll find is that they can't even achieve the accuracy because they don't have the data that gives them the accuracy that they need. I think there's ways to go. But I think there are key players that are making strides, but there's a lot of room for improvement.
Excellent. On Andrew's presentation, are there any questions from the floor or online pertaining the analytical side of the discussion? While we wait for that coffee to set in and the crowd to get active, if I may ask one more question. There's also this dynamic where operators are adopting tech They understand areas where they would like to further adopt. But the green machine, you know, the sheets, they still exist. How do you incorporate that? Because the clients obviously are still going to potentially still have this legacy data sheets where data will be captured. Can we get that into the eco environment where you still have your holistic reporting, which are based on database applications, but also the set of fringe data that might still live in sheets?
Yeah, I think, you know, when we built, say, our platform, Oculus originally, obviously it was focused around dashboarding and reporting. But what we noticed is that when people were building dashboards, they were essentially saying, well, what insight am I producing? But that insight all existed as part of like an ecosystem of their business objectives. And, you know, one of a feature that stood out so plainly for us was that when you're on a dashboard, it's almost, you can think about it being like a micro application. So the ability to capture information when you're on a report makes so much sense, because you might want to capture a specific value and you might want to start using it from a scenario point of view. What if my cost goes up this much? And then use that value as a multiple and have your dashboard change. So basically what we saw is that every business, when they're thinking about analytics, you almost think about it as like a little micro application of a problem that you're solving, and, you know, have the ability to actually capture all of that data on the dashboard itself and have that right back. So you can almost think about what you're doing as, let's call it a meta application that sits on top of it. So it saves people going to Excel, retyping that information. You know, they spend all this time on integration, and, you know, the most popular feature is download to Excel. Yeah, so I think the key thing is that you need to be sort of flexible and understand that people still want to capture data, even if you've had this advanced process to integrate and do all of those things.
Good. Any other questions? Yes, Rory.
So I think my question is partly data, but really to get the panelists discussing a graph that I've got is return on investment. So too few of the presentations that I see, you know, through any seminar that I go to, is people talk to return on investment. So I have a fleet and there's a subscription of everything that I need to pay per unit, whether they can all come across onto one platform and I have one platform. Very few people actually say, you actually spent your money well. And over a period of time, you've actually either saved or you've re-engineered or you've improved, and here's the quantum. What is the reason for that? I'm trying to just really get to a point where I can say, within 2 years, I've actually made a great decision, or I've made a cuck decision. You know, and if I made a bad one, what do I need to replace through data or analytics? And to really use that to make the decision making in the future better.
If I may, are you so specifically in the initial stage of making a decision of which application, why potentially the return on investment is not being proclaimed as well, or continuously even after adoption, going back to that discussion, if am I getting my return? Is it both?
So again, maybe the panelists go with your product because you believe you can save. Through the journey of adoption and implementation and go live, we can have conversations around return on investment to a quantum that is actually measurable, and you can take it back to a number and say it actually does what it needs to do. And then more importantly is to say that once we've got the assimilation of the data and you've got everything, you know, billions of lines of information, it now infers another return on investment discussion for future what?
Good question. Who's ready to take on that first one?
I think maybe I'll just take the first one there. So I'll just give you our journey in terms of that return on investment concept. So I think, yes, there's the cost to do it, and then there's the cost not to do it. I think that's the two streams of thought. And I think from our perspective, we've actually even stopped, it's a bold statement, but we've stopped proclaiming return on investment. Because for us, ideally, our customer has either started a journey, has got to a place where a software solution hasn't worked for them, or a BI solution hasn't worked for them, and they've invested all their time and money to do it. And sort of now they're at the point to actually really get value from what they want to achieve. You know, so for us, our ideal customer, we don't proclaim return on investment or proclaim to calculate return on investment for them, because A, we don't know their metrics. We don't know the full extent to how our software will be used within their business. What we can do is we can say, well, here's our cost, and it's the customer's choice whether they go forward or not. Because we're not necessarily experts in that customer's business, especially on the sales front. So that's sort of from a software vendor perspective. So I would say it is incumbent on the customer to understand their own return on investment calculations and almost make those calculations themselves.
If I look at Roy, it looks like he's saying, "Hey, listen, that's a cop-out answer. Hey, that's a good one." But I think what I want to try and do is bring in Steve. I think, Steve, if I may, not that your area of technology is just because it also focuses on cost per se, but I think it's quite tangible potentially in your case, where if we look at a typical freight operator, fortunate or unfortunate, 50 to 60% is almost ring fenced around one expense. If you do that well, I think how you can portray that back in saving is potentially something that you guys have had to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. So I think just to Rory's question, I think the discussion around return on investment needs to be a partnership between the partner and the customer, because we as a product, you can continuously provide features and various elements on the system, but if the customer is not using it, and if together the customer and the partner aren't seeing how best you can use it and how best you can identify that next opportunity for them, they're not going to see the return on investment. So I'll give you a good example. We have one of our customers we work really closely with. We've almost every 2 months we're redesign or re-looking at the data that they're extracting out of the system so that they can see new savings and continuous savings. So within one of our big features within our business is managing your fuel costs and picking up fuel theft and fuel fraud just through looking at the data and assessing what that loss of fuel value is by drivers either stealing fuel or not sticking to their benchmark consumption. And we're able to continuously work with this customer and see that continuous improvements with them. And every month we're seeing an improvement that they're seeing a savings to their business, right? And that's not where it stops, right? It's now about next month's meeting where we sit with them and say, okay, what is your next strategy? Where is your next savings opportunity or return on investment opportunity, if you will? And where does Fleet, if I may, come in to help you with that? Is it identifying, where your biggest maintenance costs are and helping you identify what are the products you're tracking, how you can use your tracking software maybe to reduce that cost and see the results in your maintenance costs on Fleeted. So I think it requires us working together as a customer and a partner to be able to really see that return on investment.
Good. Rory seems happy. I think we got it there. Well, while you've got the mic, Steve, if I may ask, do you proportionally also see the focus in your own application based on the proportion of expenses that a transporter typically needs to manage? Are you also spending 50 to 60% of your time on your fuel module? And, secondly to that, maybe your maintenance, or is it not necessarily like that? Those are the big expenses, but there are many others that a transporter need to manage on your application.
Sure. Yeah, the reality is that, we cover everything from all your fixed costs to all your variable costs. And yes, fuel makes up a big percentage. And we spend a lot of time building, smart algorithms to help you pick up issues and cleaning up data without you having to do anything. But, I wouldn't say that we spend 60% of our time just on our fuel elements within our product, right? A big area that we're focusing on at the moment is workshop management. Many fleet operators run a workshop and still use paper-based job cards, have no sight of their stock inventory, and really it's a black hole in many aspects. One of our customers, they expense every single stock item that is in their workshop, as opposed to where 80% of that should be sitting on their balance sheet. And it's because they don't have the controls and the measures in place. So we've been spending a lot of time over the last year in actually enhancing our workshop job card stock management features. So I think it's really dependent on, and in terms of I'm understanding the question, where we
where we spend our time, our customers drive a lot of where our focus is, right? So as we meet with our customers and find out what they're looking for, that drives our next feature that we're going to build, our next enhancement to an existing feature. So yeah, I think it's again a collaboration with the customer.
Good. Oh,
I thought you were the person actually was supposed to answer the questions, not pose the difficult ones. I think on return on investment, and it's something that you alluded to. It's it's not just about what I'm using, is it increasing my revenue or giving me a cost saving? I think it's also about a competitive advantage. So are these technologies giving me a competitive advantage to move forward? And if I don't bring in these technologies, what is that going to do for me? What's that going to look like in 2 years' time or 5 years' time, where the industry is moving forward and we're saying, well, I don't need a system that's going to help me manage my fuel. That's unfortunately, we're in a tech age where you need those technologies, because in 2 years' time, if you're not using it, your competitors are going to use it. And you're going to find you either falling behind or you're ahead of the curve as an early adopter. So I think ROI is not just about the rands and cents in, oh, I made more money using this technology or I saved more money using this technology. It's holistically how you can bring it together.
great. One question from the online, very conscious of the fact that we actually have a much extended audience beyond this, and next time I hope to have them all here. Johan van Rensburg's asking, do transport operators prefer OBDI, removable tracking and analytical devices, or fixed hidden devices? I don't know, Norman, but that sounds like it's got your number on there.
Thanks. I think the trend in the market is to reduce SIM cards, reduce the number of devices in the vehicle. And the trend that we see is one hidden device and one visible device for the driver itself. So, I mean, the hidden device at the end is for the tracking, the recovery of the vehicle, security, and so forth. And the visible devices for management, information, exchange of information, communications, and so forth. So, and that's been the trend that we've seen, moving forward in the market. I hope that answers.
No, wonderful. Michael, if I can bring you in here. I know we spoke about, and you mentioned this in your topic, traditionally the logistics operators are becoming more and more interested or your traditional clients are becoming more and interested in going into the logistics sphere. Where do you see the part that the driver and using the applications is a bridge potentially between that? Traditional clearing and forwarding, moving into logistics for the execution of those orders. Do you see the driver and applications in that space as a bridge between your traditional customs and clearing and feeding into logistics for the freight operators?
Yes, I think we do. So, if we can reduce the amount of paper and running around, if I take for argument's sake, and I can speak from my experience dealing with the customs clearing, freight forwarding, and agents primarily, they are facilitating the customs clearance process at a port. So they're dealing with a driver that arrives there either hopefully not without a proper clearance and declaration and manifest, but potentially without that, and then having to go and do that customs clearing process, and then run around to the driver with the manifest or taking the manifest to him or the documentation. If we can eliminate that through the use of technology and hardware like smart devices, smartphones. I mean, the road freight manifest is a prime example. If we can have that CAN number that is available to the driver on his phone, that he can give to the SARS official at the border and say, there you go, scan it. That's already an improved efficiency, because otherwise they're giving a paper document that can be lost or changes, etc. So yeah, absolutely, I think there is some efficiencies we can create through use of technology.
Wonderful.
In that environment.
I'm gonna ring back to or run back to the audience on site. Any questions? Anything further before we start wrapping up? Anybody online? Good. I think, Harry, if you don't mind, I'm going to wrap up for us in closing. And what I also suggest is that the lucky prizes that we have, let's do that while we have our brunch. I mean, I don't think we have to have the online crowd bear witness to all these cool goodies that need to be handed out. We can do that while having brunch. One thing I need to do, because Hanley will not forgive me, is we do have an online poll that I would love you to do. I don't know if we have the link on this on the slideshow, or if the online audience can view the link. But it is it's a poll question relating today. We would love to get your feedback. While we do that,
presentations apparently in your presentation.
yeah, while the slide's picking up here at the venue, for those that can see online, question posed for you to please complete on the poll. You can go to that URL, QR code, and get straight to the poll. Question is, how do you believe digital transformation is most significantly reshaping the logistics and freight industry in South Africa? And there's multiple options. I would love to hear what you think about that. It's a quick poll, and we'll share that feedback with you afterwards. So to conclude, again, transport and the freight sector is essential. We know it's a very challenging environment, and without a doubt, it's changing. And one element of change that is really undeniable is the impact that digitalization is playing in this space. We are at, I believe, the most exciting crisp of era in the logistics space, where technology is not just in the boardroom, it's being lived out, it exists, it's being adopted, and it is showing results, rippling through straight to your wider driver and operator audiences, which are drivers. And the fruit of the digitalization is already starting to show. We hope that out of today's session that you're enlightened with some of the options that are available to you as freight and logistics operators. And the fact that we are building this eco environment where all these software and hardware elements can combine together and ultimately give you the ability to control your business to the best of the ability and execute to a stage where you've never been before. So thank you very much for everybody that's been here. We're really grateful that you share the passion for the logistics space and the digitalization. I have no doubt that you're going to be inundated of calls in terms of your offering and how we dance together, and very, very excited to do this again. Thank you for those that are here on site, everybody that's joined online. And Harry, thank you very much for all your effort, and Hanley, once again, thank you very much for your arrangements. Thanks.
Renko, I just want to say from our side and the Transport Forum and Transport Forum sponsors and associate partners that we really appreciate what you guys are doing and the support. This obviously was yet another great event. I think it was the 258th Transport Forum event, and yet another great success. Thank you for everybody participating. We really appreciate it. We'd also like to hand out a little gifts to our panelists. I really appreciate all your participation. And it's now, sadly, we have to say goodbye to our online audience. And we'll see you guys next time so that we can do the lucky draws. I see there are a lot of draws here at the front. So we're going to do the draw. So goodbye.